Welcome to Delta 12. My name is Michael, and in this video I will show you how to create a simple menu and how to create a simple system to save and load your game. Okay, let's start by creating a new scene. Let's add a color rectangle. So let's adjust the size so that it's bigger than our screen. Let's change the color to black and let's leave alpha at 180. I will click on the grid to facilitate the next steps. And now let's change the name of the main node to menu. Let's add a new color rectangle. Let's adjust this way. And now I'm going to change its color. Let's duplicate this node. And I'm going to change its color to a little lighter color. And then in margin, let's create a 2 pixels margin. Just increase left and top by 2 pixels and decrease by right and bottom. Now we need to drag color rectangle 2 inside color rectangle. Now I can remove this number 2. Now we can add a label. Let's adjust the size. And for now, let's write test. I will align the text to the center. Now let's load our font. And we can create a shadow. Now I'm going to duplicate this node and drag it down. I'm going to duplicate these 2 nodes again and create our 4 buttons. Okay, now let's change the name of this node to save. And let's also change the text of this label to save. Now let's change the name of this one to load. This one we will call restart. And to finish, this one will be our quit button. Okay, now we can save our scene and then let's see how it goes. Now I need to set a color to show which button is selected. Let's select the color rectangle from the Save node and let's change its color to green. And now selecting the color rectangle of the Load node, we will change its color to red. Now let's add a script. Let's declare a variable selected menu equals 0, and then let's create the change menu color function. Where we will have getNode save color rectangle dot color equals color with a capital C. Now we need to take the light brown color and we will put it inside the parentheses using quotes. This will be the normal color of the buttons. And okay, now we need to repeat the same code for the other buttons. Now let's create a match selected menu. And since we have 4 buttons, let's add the number from 0 to 3. We need to start with the number 0 because variables save elements from 0. Now I'm going to copy this here and paste it here. And then I need to put that green color here. Now we just need to do the same for the other buttons. Okay, now let's add an input event. And for now you can just copy the code and I will explain how it works in a bit, right? So let's declare that when the UI DAO button is pressed, the selected menu will be equal selected menu plus 1 and we will use the %sign with number 4. And then we will call the change menu color function. Okay, let's test. Okay, now let's configure the UI up button. we will then declare that when the UI up button is pressed, if selected menu is greater than 0, then selected menu will be equal to selected menu minus 1. Else, selected menu will be equal to 3, and we will call the change menu color function. Now let's create the action button. And let's declare that when the UI accept button, which by default is the enter button, is pressed, okay, let's just copy this part here to make things easier. You can press tab here, and let's select this part here and press tab again. Then we will have to match a selected menu again. And for now, let's add the print command just so we can test. And let's go to the explanation. Okay, when we press UI down, the select menu will be increased by 1. And using %4, I'm telling the code that the menu has 4 buttons. Okay, the save button is selected. Let's press down, and then the selected menu changed from 0, save, to 1, load. And then the change menu color function will make the button which was previously selected and had its color changed to green back to normal color again. Okay, now let's go to the UI up button. Here what will happen is that if selected menu is greater than 0, then it will be decreased by 1. Okay, else, if selected menu is equal to 0, our save button. So when we press up, the selected menu will become 3, which is our quit button. Now when we press enter, the buttons will execute the commands we need. Okay, let's go to level.gd. Let's create the menu variable that will load the menu scene. Well, I think it might be better to use onReady here, so let's change that. And now we need to declare an input event to open the in-game menu. Well, we can copy this here. And then we need to change it to menu. Okay, so when we press UI menu, if there is no node called menu, then it will be instantiated and we will pause the game. Okay, now let's add the UI menu to the input map. And I will select the escape key for that. Now we can go back to the menu script and we will declare that if we press UI menu, the game will exit pause mode and the scene will close. Okay, we can test now. And okay, the menu opens, but I can't change the button because I forgot to change the pause mode again. I always forget to do this. Okay, come on, we have to click on the main scene and then in pause mode we need to change this to process for the menu to continue working during the pause mode. Let's test again. Down. Now up. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to create a background for the menu using a new color rectangle. Okay, I think now the menu is better. Now let's go back to the script. And let's add funky ready, change menu color, so that all buttons start with the normal color. Okay, now let's start with the quit button, which will be the easiest. We just need to use the get3 quit command. Let's test. And okay, when we use quit, the game closes. Okay, now let's go to the restart. Let's open global.gd, which is the script of our auto-loaded scene. And this is where we are going to create the necessary functions. Okay, first let's add a vector2, 0, to the automove direction variable. And now let's create the restart game function. And what I want to happen is that when this function is executed, the code takes all the important variables and goes back to their initial values. So let's get all the variables and put it here in this function. So let's use the code change scene to take the player to the initial level. And finally, let's take the game out of pause mode. Now let's go back to the menu and let's call the function we just created in the global scene using the command global.restartGame. Well, it's important that you know that it is only possible to call the restart game function that is in the global scene of the way I'm doing it here, because global scene is configured as an autoloaded scene. And remember that it is global with a capital G, right? Okay, now we can test. Let's get the key. Let's open this door and let's test the restart. Okay, our restart button is already working. Okay, let's go to global. We have an error here. Let's click here and ignore this. Then this message will appear in the code. Now let's configure our save button. And the first thing I want to happen when this button is pressed is for it to change its own text to saved, to indicate that the game was being saved. Let's test. And okay, when we close the menu and open it again, the text also reverts back to the original text. Okay, now let's go back to global and let's create the save game function. And I'm going to create the load game function. Let's declare a new data variable. And now here in the save game function, let's add a dictionary for the data variable that will save the name and value of each variable. Well, it's important that you know that in case of the variable is a vector2, as is the case with automove direction, you will need to save this value by opening an array using square brackets and then save the value of that in X and in Y, right? Okay, I forgot to create a variable to save each level the player is at. So I will create a new variable. I will call current level, and let's put this inside the dictionary too. Now let's open the levels script, and in funcReady, let's add global.currentLevel equal self-name. So when we start any level, this variable will save the name of that level. Now let's go back to global and let's declare this. Okay, basically let's create a new file. Let's open this file. Let's save the data variable using the JSON format. And let's close that file. Okay, in Windows I found the file saved here. In Linux I found this saved here. And on Mac, well, on Mac I have no idea because I don't have the money to buy a Mac. Okay, let's go back to menu and let's call the save game function. Okay, let's run the game. Let's get the key. Let's open this door. Let's get this other key. And now let's save. Okay, now if you click on project, open project data folder, that directory I said before will be open. And if you open the save game file using Notepad, you will see all the saved variables and the saved values of each of them. Now let's configure the load game function. Here, basically, we are going to open the file, have the code read this file, save this, and close the file. And then here we are going to set the value of each variable to the value that was saved in the file savegame.json. So let's declare that our auto move direction will be equal to a vector2, which will take the value that is in data auto move direction at index 0, which in this case will be 1, which is the x value of the vector. And then it will get the value of the index 1, which in this case is 0. So now our auto move direction variable has the value vector2, 1, 0. Okay, so in from level we will have the value central. Visited we will have level 1, central, level 2, and level 3. Anyway, you already understand, right? Okay, now let's add the change scene command and have the scene change to the value that is in current level. And then let's take the game out of pause mode. Okay, let's go back to menu. And here we need to check if there are files to be loaded, right? But first let's configure what happens when there are no files to load. Let's start by declaring the variable canLoad equal false. Okay, now let's declare that if canLoad equals true, then run global.loadGame function. Else, let's change the button color to red to show that there are no files to load. Okay, as our variable canLoad is equal to false, let's test and the button should be red. Okay, it's working very well. Now let's go to the ready function and add the code that will check if there are files for be loaded. Okay, so if there is a file save game JSON, then canLoad will be equal to true, allowing the load button to execute the global load game function. Okay, let's test. And okay, now it's working. Let's open that other door. And okay, let's save here. Now restart. Load again. And everything is working very well. Well guys, forgive me for going all this time without uploading a new video, but the reason is that I've been making these videos in my spare time and I'm very busy these days. I hope this video can help you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.